Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, as per the title of this video, we're going to look at the indicator that's never been wrong since the beginning of the Bitcoin cycles back in 2010. And we're going to have a look at how this indicator is predicting the current price before the next halving in April 2024. We're also going to have a general look at the market and to look at the targets that we possibly can get between now and the next few weeks. We'll have the usual look at the 60-day cycle and why the current price for Bitcoin presents a very good swing trade. So if that sounds interesting, then without further ado, get yourself a cup of tea, sit yourself down, eyes on the screen, and let's get cracking. But before we begin, the usual polite reminder, please remember everything in my videos is just for educational purposes, so always do your wider research before you make any investment decisions or any swing trade decisions. We'll get straight into this indicator that's actually giving us a current prediction for the price in this current rally that we're in with Bitcoin. And that indicator is the pi cycle top, which is the red line and the green line. And if you have a look at the actual settings on here, the pi cycle, the long moving average is the 350 simple moving average, which is the red line, and the short moving average, 111 simple moving average, the green line. So looking at the first halving in November 2012, before we got to this point here, we can see quite clearly that we got to a top at this point, had a little bear market over here. Then once we passed over the green line here, we made our big peak over here at the red line. So very important that before this halving that we got, the price action came and pierced through the red line. Very, very important to notice this. And if we move to the next halving in July 2016, before this halving, what we got was the peak of the first cycle here. Then we had a bear market. Then the price came and went above the green line. And then the first peak over here came right up to the red line, and that was once again before the forthcoming halving over here. Very important. So this is the second time this happened, before the first halving and then before the second halving. The price action after the bear market comes up right up to the red line. So the first halving it pierced right the way through. The second halving it came right up to it over here. Moving on to the third halving in 2020, once again, after we'd peaked out in 2017, came down in the bear market, went above the green line over here, and once again, before the following halving, we came right up to the red line one more time. So extremely important, 3 halvings and 3 times the price has come right up to or pierced through the red line. So the million-dollar question is, where is this red line now? Currently, this is exactly where we are now. If you've been following my videos over the last many months now, I've been mentioning 2 particular targets that after topping out at 69,000 and having this bear market bottom at 15,400, then the first peak we're going to get is going to be at these 2 points here, either at the 40,000 or the 50,000. These are the 2 consistently I've been talking about. And guess where the red line is? It's right in the middle currently at around about the 44,500. Obviously, as the price moves up, this starts to move up a little bit. So the current price, which is hanging around the 31,000, we could peak here at around about the 44.5, or we could pierce through to the 50,000. So it's looking unlikely that we're going to be stopping just at the 40. Now this could happen over here just before the halving, or it could happen in this current cycle we're in. So we'll just have to wait and see how the price of Bitcoin is going to actually pan out over the next few weeks. But certainly this is our target as the first peak. So it's going to come at least up to the red line, if not pierce it, to go up to the $50,000 mark. And as per the previous cycles, once we do hit this target over here, then the chances are, as in the previous cycles, we have a big correction and then move into the halving, where we will be expecting some sort of a parabolic move to the upside for the blow off top for the end of this cycle. And we're predicting that to be around about the end of 2025. So that's the bigger overall picture, taking into account the current price target for the first peak after the bear market bottom over here. Okay, when we have a general look at the price of Bitcoin on the weekly chart over here, we can make out all the relevant and important levels which will give us a guide as to exactly where the price could possibly go in the next few weeks and months. So we identified this level here at the 25,200 many weeks ago and months ago when it was forming this inverse head and shoulders pattern over here. So we got this neckline at the 25,200 and we said that once we break above it, we may come back and test this at the 25.2, and that's exactly what we've done here, and then now and broken back above right up to the previous high at the 31,000. So this is where we're at currently. For those of you with a keen eye will have noticed something, that we have a cup and handle pattern over here which is extremely bullish. So not only do we have an inverse head and shoulders, but we now have a cup and handle playing out on the right hand side here, and the breakout of that cup and handle is going to be at this level here at the 31,000. So once we break out of this, then this is basically the cup and handle playing out as well as the inverse head and shoulders. And the question is, what levels can this go up to? So the current price action is exactly at around the 31,000 mark, and this is where we're having a bit of a tea break before we expect Bitcoin to break out of there. So where should it go from this point onwards? So the next point of call from where we are currently at 30.31 is going to be anywhere between the bottom of these candles here to the bodies of those candles over here at 37.5. So anywhere between 34 to 37.5 seems a likely point for a coffee break for the Bitcoin price. And the next level after that is going to be this $41,000 mark here. And that's based on these wicks, these support lines here, these resistance points here, support one more time, support here as well. So there's quite a lot of support and resistance around the $40,000 to $42,000 mark here. And then where the pi cycle is coming up to is about this level here, between 45 to 50,000. That's going to be the next level. So these are the important levels. I'm not saying that we're going to come up all the way to these levels in this current 60-day cycle, but depending on where the price is in relation to the 60-day cycle, we'll know whether this has got a potential to go all the way up to here or whether we're going to turn around at these points lower down over here. So currently where we are at here with this breakup, if you go back to the first breakout at this point here, then this breakout was followed by another big green candle, then a shorter green candle over here, before we had the little correction and then tried to go above the previous high. Then in the next cycle, when we had this big breakout, instead of having a series of green candles, we had a series of indecision candles with these three indecisive doji candles over here. So the question is, now that we've broken out here, will it be more like the indecision candles or more like the solid candles over here? Only time will tell. But certainly we are at a resistance point at this 31 based on the previous high here. So it looks to me as though we may have few indecision candles here before we move to the next level around the 34 to 37.5 level over here. To make head or tail of where we could possibly end up in this current cycle, we'll have to have a look at the 60-day cycle now, and by using the 60-day timeline, we could ascertain where we could possibly get to by the end of this current cycle. One line that you should actually draw on your charts is based on this line here, from the top all the way to this line here, because this could provide a very good clue as to where along this red line we could actually top out. And this red line goes all the way back down here, where you can see quite clearly it provided a lot of support over here back in 2018, a lot of resistance. Then when we broke out of here, came back and found resistance one more time here, here, and here. And recently, we found resistance over here and over here. So once again, this could provide a very, very important resistance point along the way. So please make sure that on your charts, you draw this relevant and important line over here. Okay, moving on to the 60-day chart. This is where this really becomes very useful as a guide to tell us where the Bitcoin price could top out. So last week I said that we need to break this 27.4 level here to confirm that this is the cycle bottom at the 52-day point here. So we went above that on the Tuesday at this point, and the confirmation for that breakout was this 28.5 level here, and we're well above that as well. So we've now confirmed the bottom of the previous cycle at 52 days. We're currently in this cycle now. This is the midpoint, and this is the end point of this cycle. The midpoint is going to be around the 15th of July. Now, depending on where we are around this point, so for instance, we have these levels that marked up here at 40,000 and 48,000, and obviously I've just shown you the other targets in between. So how I use these cycles is that if you go back to these previous cycles here, these are the midpoints, the white dotted lines over here and here. So the first cycle after the bear market, we had this right translated cycle. So as we were moving up to these points here, because we were well before the midpoint, it told us that there may be another leg to go up here. And then when we got to the midpoint of it, and if it was going to be a right translated cycle, we know there's another leg to go up above the previous highs, which is exactly what it was here. So being a right translated cycle, which is what we expect over here, by the way, because we've just had a failed cycle. Usually in a bull market, after a failed cycle, you tend to get another right translated cycle. Not guaranteed, but with a higher degree of probability, that's what happens. So what we can expect here is that as we're moving up, if we move up, let's say to 34,000 this week, we get to this point, then we've still got quite a lot of the midpoint to get to yet, which tells us that there's a higher levels to go to. And after this week, we get to this point over here, at about the 40,000, and while we're thinking that this is going to be a right translated cycle and with still quite a bit of the midpoint to go to, that tells us that there's a high degree of probability we could get to higher levels at 48, maybe even 50,000 before this comes down. So depending on how rapidly the price moves from here in onwards towards the midpoint of this cycle, that will give us a clue as to how far it will reach and whether we can get to that pi cycle peak that we've got at around about the 45-50,000. Obviously, the alternative to that rapid movement is that if we just go sideways into the 60-day cycle, we get to this point here, let's say, at around about 32-33, then it looks with a high degree of probability that if this is a right translated cycle, then it looks like with a high degree of probability that the next target is going to be around about the 34 to 36 up to this point here, maybe up to 40,000 maximum. So this is where these cycles really help us by knowing exactly where the midpoints are and how the price action is actually relating to those midpoints. So this week's going to be critical to know that if by the end of this week around here, if we can get above this point at around about 32, 33,000, then it looks like the following week we could move into the next level here between 34 and 37,000, these levels here. And then if it's going to be a right translated cycle, then obviously these points at 40 and above become actually within target and within range. So let's see how things develop. We just got to remain fluid and flexible and let the price dictate our thinking in terms of exactly where we could possibly top out. And obviously, as I've mentioned many times before, whenever we bottom out at a cycle, there's always the opportunity for a swing trade. So once we broke out at 27.4, that was an opportunity for a swing trade here. And even at these points here, because we're well before the midway point, we would expect a very good hefty rise into the 30-day midpoint over here and beyond. So at current levels, it would present a very good opportunity at around the 31,000 to take a swing trade for the rest of the current 60-day cycle. So you could take the entry as it is now, or you could wait for the entry after the break above the 31,000 over here and then run it all the way up to the midpoint and beyond. And your stop loss would be at this point here at around about 28.4. If this price does come back below 28.4, then it looks like it may come back and retest the lower levels here. But certainly 28.4 as a stop loss with entry at current prices or above the 31,000 to take you into the midpoint and beyond of the current 60-day cycle. And if swing trades are of interest to you, we are currently following exact entry and exit and stop losses on the Bitcoin miners swing trades, which are on our private member section. We're currently right at the beginning of these swing trades now, and if that's the kind of thing of interest to you, along with the usual detailed technical analysis of Bitcoin, undervalued companies, as well as entry points for long trades and regular swing trades, then you can join the growing community on the Bitcoin miners analysis that we do. So we do a dedicated video every Wednesday, and if you want to join us there, then all you have to do is click the join button over here, and there is also another join button in the description box below for those with a handheld device. So when you click on that, you'll see a little box here and see that for the price of 1 coffee per month, you get 4 videos, one every Wednesday, to give you exclusive videos with updates in the members section of the channel. If you want to try it out for a month, as there's no obligation and you can cancel at any time at the click of a button, hassle-free. And this Wednesday, we're focusing on our new swing trades that we started from the last Wednesday and the exact points where to take the profits during this current 60-day cycle. Okay, so we'll leave it there. I hope you found value in the video. If you did, then please do remember to like and to subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.